And that wraps up week 3. And that leaves us moving on into week 4. What are the big games that we need to look forward to? What are the things that I want both of us to watch and pay attention to so that way we can talk about what we learned next week? Well, the first game I want to talk about is the Commanders versus the Falcons. These teams have now faced off 4 straight years, making this the 5th year in a row that these two teams are facing off. The Washington Commanders have won all of those games. In 2021, they won by 4 points. In 2022, they won by 6. In 2023, they won by 8. And last year, they won in overtime. This year, I think they get it done again. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is, I want to know, how do the Atlanta Falcons bounce back? Are they going with Michael Penix Jr. at quarterback again? They probably are. But I want to know, how do the Atlanta Falcons bounce back against the worst loss that they've had this season against the Carolina Panthers? And I want to know, is that hot streak coming for the Washington Commanders? Because they just destroyed the Las Vegas Raiders. And I want to know, can they come out and prove it against a team who's looked good in the past and who's given them trouble year in and year out? I want to know, will the Commanders make it 5 straight, or will the Falcons finally get on the board against the Commanders for the first time since 2018? That's what I want to know. And the next game, this is, in my opinion, the biggest game of week 4. Eagles, Bucs, 2 teams that are both 3-0, 2 teams that have both struggled in games yet come through when it's mattered most in the clutch. These are 2 teams who have been fourth quarter teams so far throughout 2025. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles versus Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is going to be a phenomenal game. The Bucs and the Eagles have had great games in the past. In the past, these teams have played, and 2 years ago, they even played in the playoffs where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers destroyed the Eagles. But it seems like the Bucs have kind of had the Eagles' number. In their last 5 matchups, the Eagles have won once. And the Buccaneers and the Eagles have both been fourth quarter teams. This is a game that I expect to come down to the wire. One of these teams will move to 4-0 at the end of this week, and the other will move to 3-1. Both of these teams have a division lead for now, but with a loss, it would make the division race a little bit more questionable going forward. I want to know, which of these fourth quarter comeback teams is going to come away with the victory? Will it be the Philadelphia Eagles, the reigning Super Bowl champions, or will it be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? And Baker Mayfield, if he wins this game, he absolutely asserts himself in the MVP conversation if he hasn't already. He's built up the resume, and with a win like this against the Philadelphia Eagles, that would absolutely catapult him into the MVP talks. Absolutely, no doubt. The next game that we need to be looking forward to is Colts versus Rams. The Colts, 3-0. Phenomenal start. Talked about Jonathan Taylor earlier. Talked about Daniel Jones last week. They're still 3-0. They walked into Tennessee against the Titans, a divisional opponent, and made them look sorry. The Indianapolis Colts are an elite team, and the Rams are coming off a dreadful defeat to the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to know, will the Rams bounce back? Or is this going to be the start of a slump? Because when you lose a game like that, you feel it. You feel the effects of it. And going into next week against the Indianapolis Colts, that's a team that's really, really good. They've proved that they can beat good teams. They've proved that they can beat playoff caliber teams. They beat the Broncos last week. And I know the Titans are the Titans. But the Colts have been the biggest surprise team so far this year. And now they face the LA Rams, who I think is their biggest, toughest battle so far this season. And for the Rams, they're playing after a terrible, horrendous, dreadful loss to the Philadelphia Eagles after being up by so much and letting the Eagles come all the way back to win that game. That's going to sting. I want to know, are they going to bounce back, or will they feel the effects of that and start a little losing streak? I want to know. That's going to be a big game. The next one, Ravens versus Chiefs. Lamar versus Mahomes. And I know I said last week that the Chiefs dynasty is over, and I still believe that, despite beating the New York Giants. I want to know, are the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson going to get over that hump against the Kansas City Chiefs? They didn't last year. Can they this year? I think they can. But that is the big question that I want to know. Will the Chiefs prove that they just own the Baltimore Ravens? Or will the Ravens prove that this season is different? The Baltimore Ravens are hungry. They're going to be coming off a game against the Lions. We don't know what's going to happen in that game just yet. But the Baltimore Ravens against the Kansas City Chiefs, will they get over the hump? And for the Chiefs, can they prove me wrong? Can they prove me wrong? Can they prove that they can still beat a good team no matter how difficult the road gets? Can they prove that they still have it in them to beat a team like the Baltimore Ravens that can help them contend going forward? I want to know. You want to know. Stay tuned for that one. And of course, we wrap up next week's outlook with Packers versus Cowboys. And no, it's not because of a rich rivalry, and it's not because both these teams are elite. It is because it is Micah Parsons' revenge against Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. I want to see him go for 3 sacks. I want to see Micah Parsons tear up the Dallas Cowboys defense. And I know you want to also, unless you're a Cowboys fan. And if so, you might be a little scared to watch this game because Micah Parsons will be coming for heads in the game against the Dallas Cowboys in his first time playing against the Cowboys in his career. And I want to know, do the Green Bay Packers have it? Will the Green Bay Packers bounce back? Because that's also a big question. I don't think the Dallas Cowboys offense is good enough to beat the Green Bay Packers' amazing defense, especially with Micah Parsons. And I also don't think that CeeDee Lamb will be playing in this game. That injury looked bad. He'll probably be out for a couple of weeks at least. But I want to know, how will Micah Parsons look? The game is not the big question. I want to know about Micah Parsons.